Hey, welcome to the HyperFast Show. On today's episode, we have an amazing guest. He helped build Kale Realty in Chicago to a company with nearly 700 brokers, and he has a podcast called Keeping It Real that gets over 10,000 downloads per episode. Welcome to the show, DJ Paris. Well, welcome to the show, DJ. Glad to have you on. I'm excited about today's episode.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I really appreciate it. I'm a big fan of your show. It's amazing. You guys do incredible work, and I'm glad that you're continuing to do the work right now through this challenging time.
Yeah, it's definitely a different time for sure. I mean, this is like my second show that I've done from this little makeshift studio down in our Florida place because we decided to come down here since most of our work is virtual. And I think you were saying before we started that you're one of the only people in the office. Just weird times, right?
Yeah, so we have 660 brokers. I should say realtors. In Illinois, everyone's called a broker, but I'll say realtors as to not confuse any of the listeners. So we have 660 realtors at our office, and we've essentially locked the doors. And there's really just my boss and I are coming in. We have, you have to deposit checks and basically but all the rest of us are working virtually. We're really, really lucky and grateful that we have our systems set up to be able to support our brokers, remotely. And obviously any firm can do that now. And I think that's one of the positives is a lot of real estate firms are realizing how they can virtually support brokers, even if they have a traditional brick and mortar, location. So I think that's one of the positives that'll come out of this is I think the level of support to realtors will actually go up because, I think old firms that weren't embracing some of the technology before are starting to realize that they can support their agents, really whether the office is open or not.
Yeah, I agree. That's a trend I've seen, or just a dramatic overnight shift. Really, is that the people that want to still go out and do business have to be virtual. Like before this happened, there were some companies that specialized in being virtual or virtual only even. This happened, and now we're all virtual basically.
Yeah.
If you want to do business, you're virtual.
Everybody's got a Zoom account and everyone's on it all day long. So it's pretty great actually. Like what we've been doing with our realtors is we were always doing daily live Facebook live training. So we were doing that in our private Facebook group. And then we really decided, since we all have a little bit more time now than we did before, we sort of stepped it up and said, how could we, sort of double our efforts? So now we're doing, twice daily trainings, trying to keep the brokers, happy, motivated, positive, and just trying to support each other. They're sharing ideas, best practices. So if anyone's listening who owns a firm out there, you can do this really easily, and it's a great way to stay in touch while we're all sort of stuck at home. So,
yeah, I agree with you on that. Like you gotta double down on the things that are working now and the things that are working well. So, like, do more online training, do more online meetings, and it's definitely a time to expand, not contract, right? And it can be easy because to contract because A, you're fearful, but B,
sure.
Everyone's practicing social distancing, which I think is a really bad term because it implies that you're isolated and alone, and it just
right.
You're getting this contraction mindset if you're thinking that way. So
yeah,
like you said, like get on lives more, right?
Yeah, I think this is the time for all your listeners who are agents to really work on deepening your relationships. I think there's no better opportunity, and it's an unfortunate opportunity for sure, and I don't want to take away from the gravity of it, but it is really kind of a good opportunity in a sense to let everybody who you've either worked with in the past or who you'd like to work with in the future, also included family and friends into that group, just let them know that you're thinking about them, that you care about them, and check in with them. And now we have technology that makes it a lot easier to do. And I really encourage everyone out there listening, if you're like, what should I do today? I can't do showings. I can't really go out. If that's the case for you, reach out to every single person in your database and just say, hey, I'm thinking about you. How are you doing? If that's all you did, that will have tremendous impact on how they feel about you. And then hopefully once this all goes back to normal, that you become the person that they choose. They're going to go, wow, my realtor really cares about me. He checked in with me. He asked me how my spouse and my kids were doing. I asked me about my job. This is the time to do all of those things when we're real busy and the market's going great, we don't always have time to do. So I would encourage everyone out there just to make it your mission every day, contact a certain number of people, schedule a Zoom meeting if you want to, it's free, or just telephone or text or however you want to do it, but have a dialogue with every single person. And I will tell you, and Dan, I wanted to bring this up because I was thinking about this. It's like such obvious advice, and I'm sure other guests on your show have said it. I'm not the first one for sure, but I was thinking to all of the services that I utilize in my life that I pay money for, my accountant, my financial advisor, my insurance agent, et cetera, my dentist, right? And I realized how many of those people who I pay money to and I really like every one of the service providers I use, otherwise I wouldn't use them. But how many of them have reached out to me personally just to check in on me? I can think of one, the person who cuts my hair did that, which I thought was very sweet. It meant a lot to me. And it wasn't to try to get another haircut scheduled. It was just to check in. And I thought, and I'm not upset at any of the providers I use. I know I'm not that important to any of them. I'm just one of, lots of clients they have. But I think, you could be that person to do that with your sphere of influence and your clients. And boy, it's not like they're getting a lot of calls from other people like you right now. So this is a great time to reach out and just let them know you're thinking about them.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think, A, you probably have more time to do that. And B, they probably have more time to receive that message. So I think those efforts could go 2, 3, 4 times, as far as they typically do. So definitely take advantage of that. I think you mentioned earlier you've got like 600, 700 brokers in the office, realtors in the office. Is that correct?
Well, not in the office. So
or under your firm.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, but it is funny because you would assume that our office would be this giant office with lots of square footage, where the truth is I'm only saying it because it's so funny to us because we consider ourselves this little small family-owned company. It's not my family, my boss, it's his family, but it's really, we have this little tiny office. Actually, we have 2 little tiny offices. And when I started here about 10 years ago, and my background's in corporate marketing. I have really no real estate background. And when I came on board, my friend who owns the company said, I think, you utilizing your marketing efforts, we could start to grow this brokerage. And I think at the time we had maybe 3 realtors, maybe 4, something like that. And so I started, this is Chicago. We have 46,000 realtors here. And so we started coming up with marketing ideas, and we changed our commission structure and tried to make it a lot more attractive. And here we are now 10 years later, and we've grown a lot, but we're still this small family-owned company. So even when the doors are open and people are able to go about their business in a regular way, we still only see about 5 to 6 brokers a day, maybe. And our offices are even open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, except obviously not right now, but normally. And so it's funny. We have all these brokers, and I say brokers again, I mean real estate professionals, real estate agents, but the vast majority of them work remotely. But yeah, we're here, although right now it's just my boss and myself. The rest of, for safety's sake, everyone else is working remotely. So
yeah. I know you've mentioned earlier before we jumped on the show, you came from a marketing background.
Yeah. Can
you tell the listeners a little bit about the quick 2-minute bio of you, how you
Sure.
got to where you are today with so many brokers and realtors, because I'm sure it's a fascinating story.
It's not, but I will share it with everybody. The truth, you know what? Most stories are boring, but I'll try to make it a bit interesting for everyone. But thank you for that, and I'm happy to share that story. So I came on board. I didn't even know basically what a realtor did. I mean, my boss, who now is my boss, he was my realtor, so he helped me buy a condo, a million years ago. That was my only real estate experience. And so when I came on board, I was from the IT world, branding with IT, healthcare, things like that. So when I came on board, I was completely lost. I didn't know what a realtor did. I mean, I knew what my realtor did once when I bought a condo, and that was it. So we came on board, and he started telling me a little bit about how the business operated. And I just spent, and in some ways, maybe it was good that I didn't have that background, because I didn't have, well, number one, I didn't have to split my time, maybe because I wasn't an agent. I wasn't also out there trying to grow my business, which just wouldn't have worked in what we were looking to do. So I basically sit at a desk all day and talk to realtors. But back then, I didn't even know how to do that. So we started looking around at the commission structures that existed, and they were all very similar. And we were so small that we really couldn't compete. We would offer a higher commission split, but we really didn't have support or training. And for brokers that we really wanted to recruit, they required some of that. And we just were small enough to not really have that much to offer. And so it kind of put us in a tough spot. We're like, well, how do we recruit when we're up against all the big firms who are not paying as high a commissions, but they have a lot more going on to offer? And so we started looking at what now is known in the industry as like the 100% model, where instead of taking a percentage of every sale, we take a flat fee. And we just started slowly growing. Nobody in the city of Chicago had successfully done it, which was just kind of good timing, I think, for us. And so we started doing that, and here we are now. And we're so super grateful, because it wasn't that long ago that we didn't have but just a few brokers, realtors. Again, I'm sorry, I just always say broker. And but it's something that we now, because of our size, we now have full-time trainers. We have the resources that we always wanted. So thankfully it's worked out, and we're super grateful that our realtors have stuck with us through this time. But essentially it was just offering, a higher commission split, lower fees, because that made sense to us, because at the time we couldn't offer as much. So we thought, well, this is just the right thing to do. And we'll just kind of eat it on margin, and maybe we won't be as profitable for a while, just knowing that this is the vision we have for our company. And not that other commission models aren't also great for other firms. I'm in no way suggesting our model's the best. That's not how we think. But we've certainly filled a need here in Chicago, and thankfully we're continuing to grow. Obviously, it's slowed down a little since the stay-at-home thing. But I have 7 appointments today talking to realtors, and these were ones that were scheduled prior. But people are still talking, and so we're still growing, and I'm very lucky to be here, and we're trying to keep all the businesses afloat right now. So I also started a podcast a few years ago here in Chicago called Keeping It Real. And the idea was that I looked around, because I figured somebody had to have started a podcast featuring the top agents in Chicago and just asking them how they grew their business. And we had become more successful as a company at that time. And I thought I really wanted to give back in a way that helped all realtors, at least the ones here locally. And so I really thought about it for about a year before I decided, as just how much work it takes to put a podcast together. You know it, I know it. It's a tremendous amount of energy. And also when you're running another business like you guys are, as well as we are, it's a tremendous undertaking. And so I really had to think about it, because I knew I was going to have to commit for at least a year. I know that anything you really want to do, you need to commit probably for more than a year, but I said I at least need to do like a couple episodes a week for a year, and I'll have no help. And so I just started doing it, and thankfully it got somewhat popular. It's become popular. We're really lucky and grateful that people like it and get a lot of value from it. And now we've expanded it to interviewing agents nationwide, and it's fun. And in this particular time, when again everyone's got a bit more time, we're doing more episodes than ever, just to keep everyone's spirits up, to keep learning. Because I think learning right now, what a great opportunity to learn and read the books that you didn't have time to. Listen to those podcasts, listen to HyperFast Agent, go back through their whole catalog. That's a library of incredible content that will never not be relevant, right? So you're doing the same thing I'm doing. And I'm so grateful to be on the show, because I think we're both doing really good work, and people appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think agents right now are going to have so much more time to consume content, to learn, to work on their craft. Like even if their work level, their work output is the same. They've got all this time they're saving from not
Yeah.
commuting and like
Right.
all of that, right? So if you dedicated those extra hours or at least portions of it to listening to shows like yours and reading books, like it would just take your game to such another level. And I know, like, just for me, like doing the podcast, it's like, yes, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of time, but I get so much out of each interview. I
Oh,
always
me.
like I learn so much from whoever I'm talking to.
It's the sort of the joke of the whole thing is it's a tremendous amount of work, but you're absolutely right. I learn so much from my guests, even though I myself am not a practicing realtor. I learn so much about how to structure my day, how to structure my activities, mindset, even things like physical exercise. A lot of our guests will talk about their exercise routine and their eating routines, and all of that is applicable even for somebody like me who's kind of peripherally in the business. So yeah, you are absolutely, it gives me energy to do these podcasts. So I completely understand what you're saying. That's very true.
What do you think's been the key to your company's growth? Because, like, is the number of brokers, realtors you have is just tremendous. I know you have the low fee model
Yeah.
on, but I'm sure you offer so much more than just that. And there's a lot of people that do that. So, like, what do you think was the key to growing from where you started to now?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been doing this 10 years now, and I don't know that I have a great answer, but I'll tell you what's worked for us. And it comes down to just really a couple of things. One is transparency. So when I came on board, I didn't know anything about the real estate industry. I didn't know how realtors were paid. I didn't know how commissions worked at firms, and I had to sort of do my own due diligence and spend some time learning that. And I would go to website after website saying, come join our firm, just to understand what other firms were doing. And I felt that, boy, there wasn't much information here. They didn't talk about the fees. They didn't talk about the commissions. And I understand why, because at that time, and still a lot of firms have negotiable fees, negotiable splits. So I guess that sort of makes sense. But I thought, boy, that must be really confusing for somebody who's newly licensed. And I thought, or somebody who just wants to know, how does it work at your firm? And since our firm has very specific, it's everyone's got the exact same commission split, fees, everyone's exactly the same. We were able to build a website that really hit a need of people looking online, being frustrated. They'd call a firm and they'd say, well, tell me about your fees and commissions. And the firm would go like, well, come on in, let's talk. And a lot of times these agents would go, I just want to know what the numbers are. And so for us, we were able to service those kind of that need for agents who are just looking for the numbers. So our website is incredibly transparent. It says everything we do, and it also says what we don't do. And I think that's also important because, obviously we can't be everything to all agents, and we attract a very specific kind of agent. There's certain agents that probably wouldn't be attracted to our model, and then there's ones that would. So we know our market. We have a very specific marketing plan in place, and I'll even give some recruiting tips if you'd like for other people out there looking to grow their business. I'll tell you the one that was the absolute most important one I've ever done. If you're looking to recruit more agents for your firm, call other agents when they have successes and celebrate that with them. Call them or shoot them an email and say, hey, I just saw that you doubled your production over last year. That's incredible. And then don't say, by the way, come join our firm. Just say, I noticed that you're doing amazing work. Keep up the good job. We started doing that years and years ago, just trying to honor and celebrate agents that we were interested in, but really just celebrating their success. I mean, I even have a system set up to where an agent, when they do their very first real estate sale, we send them an email and we say, congratulations, we saw you just did your very first sale. Obviously, we do that with our own agents too, but trying to reach out in a way that was very authentic. We think of ourselves as cheerleaders, as coaches, and recognizing the successes in others. We thought just kind of was something that wasn't being done. And so, I mean, certainly if you're a top producer, you're getting calls all the time. But what about the person doing, 5 to 20 deals a year? Probably they're not getting called. So we thought, hey, they might be a good fit for our firm. Let's service those people. And that really has worked out well for us.
Yeah, I think that's a good a good lesson in there for even the solo agent or the team leader out there that's not necessarily looking to recruit, right?
Yeah.
Or recruit at mass like you. I think a good lesson in there is like know your market and
Yes.
and put out content, put out messaging that attracts that type of person.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll also give you one other idea for everyone who's listening, who's a solo practitioner, who, you're just worried about your own business and wanting to grow it. You can use the same principle for your sphere of influence. So here's how you do that. It's really pretty simple. You make sure in your database, your CRM, where everybody works. Right. And you at once a month or however you want to set up the structure, you go online. If somebody works at Boeing, for example, that's a company here in Chicago, or actually they're out in Seattle, but they have major offices here. Actually, their headquarters are here. There's a lot of corporate headquarters here. So it's really pretty simple. If I know somebody works at Boeing, before I call them to see how they're doing, I might do a little Google search, Boeing News, see what's going on with the company. Obviously, right now, everything's upside down, but in normal times, great opportunity just to say, hey, I saw your company just did this amazing thing. Thought or maybe shoot them the press release that you read. Great opportunity to, again, celebrate the successes of the companies that your clients work for. Another great way just to deepen those relationships and show people that you care and that you notice.
Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice, and just great way to connect and stay in
Yeah.
touch with people. What have you seen since the coronavirus really exploded in the U.S.? Like what what kind of inquiries are you getting from agents looking to join your team? Has it gone up or down,
It's
or
it's
and what are you doing differently?
Yeah, I would love to say that it's gone up, but it is not. It has gone down. But I think in general, real estate activity has slowed. So that doesn't surprise me. I think people are, there's fear, and obviously realtors are just trying to keep their business going. And I don't think they're necessarily, unless they have exorbitant fees at their current firm, then they're probably just trying to stay busy. So we have backed off some of our marketing efforts because, number one, out of respect for what's going on, and also this is probably not the time to be direct recruiting. Although I don't know, maybe some people would disagree with that. We just didn't feel that it fit our culture to do that. But what we have seen is a tremendous need to connect. So we've been reaching out, as I said earlier, to our agents twice daily now, via Zoom and Facebook Live. And we are just trying to create additional content for them, for our own agents, to basically make sure that they know. For example, the stimulus package was passed on Friday. We did a whole, it's not totally known exactly, 100% how that's going to affect real estate agents. We think we know, but the moment it was passed, we did a meeting for what we knew at the time. So just trying to send out information saying, okay, here's 10 things you could do right now to stay busy. Here are some ideas about how to connect with your clients. Here's some ideas about how to do showings virtually if you have a vacant listing and you can still figure out a way to do that. We're trying to do a big idea share, and we're bringing our agents together who mostly work virtually anyway. So that part of it hasn't really changed. But yeah, as far as people looking to join our firm, it's actually hasn't slowed down too much yet for me. But I've noticed a bit of a slowdown. Again, totally understandable. It's not something that we're as focused on now. Is for our, just like I said, for agents to focus on deepening the relationships with their clients. Now we're trying to deepen the relationship with our agents as well, letting them know we care about them, we think about them, and just trying to help them through this. And, we're also doing things like looking at our expenses and seeing where, it's a great time for us to do audits and going through and, seeing where we could be a little leaner. But yeah, we're just trying to stay busy and connected. And that's the name of the game right now.
Well, I think now is probably a time when agents are doing the same as well, or
Yeah.
should be doing the same, like looking at their
Yeah.
expenses. And for many of them, you know, they're the ones that are at some of these bigger box type brokerages, you know, the national kind of brands, like that fee that they pay to the broker is going to be one of their biggest expenses. So, you know, guys like you might become more attractive in this market.
I certainly, yeah. I mean, I hate to say I hope so, but I do hope so, because I always want to grow our business. And we're always wanting to talk to other realtors who are, you know, unhappy with some facet of the firm they're at. Yeah. And so maybe that will change. We've just had to figure out how to, you know, we had to think about this. Like, do we send out those, you know, because we do recruiting emails once in a while, as well as, like, what do we do with those? Okay, we turn those off because we thought maybe that's a little tone deaf at the moment. But are there other ways we can still connect and let other agents know that we're excited for them? So we've still continued to do the congratulations things whenever somebody, you know, does like whenever somebody's on the co-op side of one of our broker deals, we always call that broker. We don't pitch Kale Realty, but we definitely say, hey, we're really proud of you. Congratulations. Thanks for working with one of our agents. Great job. Keep it up. And it's funny because I can't tell you how, and this is a lesson for everyone out there who has a team or who owns a firm. If you're not doing those with your own agent, by the way, we do that with our own agents too, of course. We're so proud of you. Keep up the great work. Great job. You know, and if you're not doing that with your own agents, somebody like me is going to come along and do that for your agents, and you're not going to want to lose them just because I made that call and you didn't. So I really encourage everyone to, you know, now's the time to let your broker, your realtors know how important they are to you, and how grateful you are to have them, and give them tips, help them build their business. That's your job, you know? And so I'm sorry, I don't want to get on a rant about it.
No, it's a great comment. I mean, I think a lot of people are focused on creating great value for the people on their team, and they're focused as well on creating great external marketing to let the world know what they're doing. But sometimes we forget to do that internal marketing, right? If you're not doing that internal marketing and letting your team, your staff, your people know what you're doing for them and that you appreciate them, they may not realize all the great stuff that you're doing for them, or feel appreciated. So you gotta, it's not enough just to provide value and to do external marketing. You got to do that internal marketing as well.
Yeah, I would love to say that all it takes is you just pay the highest commissions and have charged lowest fees. But that is just the starting point, right? A lot of times realtors will join our firm simply, you know, mostly because we do have the highest commissions and lowest fees. However, that's not going to keep them here, because sometimes the lowest cost provider is not the best option, right? Especially if you're not going to get support and training and you know, all of those things. I mean, every single one of our realtors could leave today if they weren't getting their needs met. We of course hope they don't, but that's our responsibility. And again, whether you're a realtor thinking about, well, how do I apply that to my own business? Think of it as your clients. You know, yeah, they want to work with you, but they also want to work with somebody who cares about them. So demonstrate that. And if you are a broker owner and you have a team, let them know, you know, what you're doing to help them, and you know, and we'll all get through this together. I think it's through idea sharing and helping and staying connected. It's all we can really do right now, I think. And that's I think in some ways it's something we should take this lesson and apply it once everything goes back to normal. Let's not forget how important it is to connect.
No, I love that. That's a great point. Like there's even if things went back to normal, like tomorrow or next month, like there are still great lessons from this time that we should carry forward for the rest of our lives, really. So you know, take that for what it's worth. If people want to learn more about your real estate company, your brokerage, where would they go?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So if you're a Chicago agent, if you whether you're in the suburbs, the city, our firm is called Kale Realty, kale like the vegetable. We were not smart enough to think of that 15 years ago and think, well, it's going to become the hottest vegetable on the planet in 2020. We weren't that smart, but it's actually our owner's last name. So anyway, you can visit us at Join Kale, so joinkale.com, and I would really also, for every one of your listeners, I'd really encourage them to check out my podcast. It's called Keeping It Real. You can find it at keepingitrealpod.com. We do very similar things to HyperFast Agent, which is why we're so grateful to be on the show, and we're such fans of what Dan's doing, because we're here to help all. It's that help all realtors. It's that expression, what a rising tide raises all ships, right? By sharing these success secrets, and they're not even secrets, but sharing the success strategies of top 1% agents, any realtor can transform their business. And it's how cool is it that these are complimentary? HyperFast Agent is free to listen to, so is Keeping It Real Pod, and we do this to help, and it's so much fun. Check it out. And let us know how it helps you. I mean, we're always thankful for anyone who listens. So again, just find us at, obviously you can find us at any podcast directory. Just search for Keeping It Real. Unfortunately, there's about 17 other podcasts called Keeping It Real. So look for the one with the name DJ. That's me. You'll probably find it pretty easy. But you can visit our website too, keepingitrealpod.com.
All right, DJ, before we wrap up, I like to end with a hyper fast round. So it's just a couple questions. Rapid fire answers. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. What is the biggest challenge you've ever faced in business, and how'd you overcome it?
Real quickly, we almost went out of business a few years ago. We had an agent who lied, who took her exam and lied. This is before we knew her. Changed her name because she wasn't really eligible to practice. And she brought us her certificate. She passed, but she had changed her name to try to avoid the state recognizing who she was, because she had a history. She had done something goofy at a different company before. Anyway, we didn't know it, and we just assumed she was fine because we'd never had a problem. And eventually the state realized that this person wasn't able to practice, and they were like, what are you guys doing? How'd you let this happen? It was a complete accident. We never let somebody practice without a license, but it happened. And so the state threatened to shut us down, and we had 500 plus agents at the time, and we were very, very scared. So thankfully, again, goes back to transparency. The state basically said, we understand you didn't do this on purpose. You're not bad guys, but this is a big deal. So they let us basically transfer everybody to a new company. But the catch was that the agent had to do that themselves. So we had to reach out to all 500 of our agents and tell this story and say, we hope this, hope this doesn't sully your experience here. We'd be super honored to have you. And we were really nervous and worried. And thankfully, 99% of them came over. But that was definitely the scariest. And we've grown since then. So everything's worked out. But it was, oh my gosh, sorry, that wasn't so lightning fast, but that was scary.
No, that's a good one. I mean, yeah, you got to be ready for it's the punches that you don't see coming that can, do the most damage, or that you don't even know to look for. So
yeah,
that was a great one. What's your biggest piece of advice to a new agent starting out?
Yeah. Okay. It goes back to the old Brian Buffini technique of meet 2 to 5 people every day. I mean, I'd love to say that I had a better tactic than that, but that is a pretty good one. As a new broker, lead gen is going to be your biggest challenge, right? And well, 2 things: lead gen and learning the business. Learning the business, hopefully your firm can help you with. Lead gen is probably something you should do yourself. So go out there and learn how to talk about real estate, learn how to meet people and get their information, and then write them handwritten notes, send them emails from time to time, stay in touch, but build up that database, meet people. And again, now it's obviously harder to do that in our current conditions, but that will change. We'll get back to normal. So meet as many people as you can, add them to your database, stay in touch with them, let them know you think about them from time to time, and you're going to have more leads than you know what to do with.
Where do you see yourself in 2025?
It's a great question. So it's 5 years from now. Well, I'm hoping we have 2,500 agents at that point. That would be great. That would be our goal. And also just, continuing to do my podcast. It's a labor of love. It's something I enjoy doing. I want to reach more people. We have about 10,000 downloads on each episode now, but I'd like it to get to 100,000. I don't know if that'll happen, but I want to just keep, I'm one of those guys, I just put my head down. I keep doing the same thing every day, and whatever happens, happens. But that's what I'd like to see. So.
No, I think that's the key to success in anything, really, is just to get the repetition in, and there's really no substitute for it. No shortcuts. So that's
I wish there were shortcuts. Why are there no shortcuts? There are no shortcuts.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I think the shortcuts are like learning from people, listening to podcasts like yours, like and kind of learning from their mistakes. But at the end of the day, like you've got to execute and just get the reps in to really learn how to do it.
I've got a great saying for everyone listening, and it's something it took me a long time to learn, which it's an old Zen saying, and it goes: before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. In other words, you're always going to be chopping wood and carrying water, but that's sort of the beauty of it, is discipline is everything. Habits, discipline, fundamentals, like keep your head down, do your work, and good things can happen, especially when you pepper it by listening to podcasts like HyperFast Agent or ours or lots of others. So stand on the shoulders of giants, learn from the mistakes of others, learn from the mistakes of ours. Don't hire agents who change their name, things like that. So.
Yep. No, I agree with everything you said. And this has been an amazing episode. I just thank you so much for joining us today. I know you're super busy, really leaning into what's going on right now in the world and providing tons of value to your agents. So thank you for coming on the show and giving our listeners a lot to learn. I appreciate it. And one last time before we sign off, if people want to get in touch with you or connect, just give us a quick review of that again.
Yeah, real quickly, guys, just go to I'd love everyone to check out just one episode of our podcast, see if you like it. If you like it, tell a friend. Visit us at Keeping It Real Pod. So keepingitrealpod.com. You can also find us on Facebook, where we post all of our episodes and other content to help you grow your business. So if you're in the Chicagoland area, you want to explore what other firms have to offer, we'd love to chat with you. Visit us at joinkale.com. Otherwise, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, keep working on your business. It's going to get better. And at some point, this will all be over. And you have this unique opportunity now to develop those habits that maybe you weren't doing before. I'm doing it too. I'm trying to develop better habits myself. So let's all work on that together, and we'll have a wonderful business when this all goes back to normal.
All right. Well, I agree. Thank you so much for being on the show, DJ, and to everyone out listening or watching on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Bye, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the HyperFast Show. Subscribe to us if you want to make sure you get the latest and greatest HyperFast shows. And remember, we love reviews. Reviews help us bring better and better guests and improve our shows. So give us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you want to see more, click right here. And if you want 100 real estate tips from my best-selling book, click right here to download them instantly. And if you're new to this channel, click below to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. And leave some comments about what you think on the videos. I read them all each week, and I select winners to give out hats, shirts, coaching calls with me, and tickets to some of our events. I'll see you next time.